Hi everyone, I wanted to review the latest portable sampler on the market, Casio's SXC-1. So this has been out for a couple weeks now, and I haven't seen anybody do any reviews on it, so I wanted to go ahead and put one out, kind of sharing my thoughts on what it's like to own one. So Casio introduced this thing this year at the NAMM show. A lot of people got really excited for it. I know I did. It looked cool. I was interested to see what it could do. But not much longer after this got announced, the MPC sample got announced by Akai, and it kind of took a lot of the steam out of the sales for this thing. But I'm still seeing some people be interested in it, and I know I was, so I wanted to talk about it. The SXC-1 is only available in Japan right now, so if you want to order one of these, you're going to have to buy it from a vendor from Japan. I don't know Japanese, so I can't read the instruction manual, so if there's anything I'm missing in like a deep dive of this device, feel free to let me know in the comments. I wanted to do a quick shout out to JadeWii. She did a really good deep dive video into this, so if you want to kind of know more about the internal parts of it and kind of how it works, check out her video. It's great. So is this the MPC killer? No, not at all. I don't have my MPC sample yet, so I can't really give you a fair comparison on that, but I can tell you for sure what this can do and what that can do is not the same. This is much more limited compared to that. Really excited to get mine still. But this thing is still fun and still has uses, so I want to explain some of the stuff that I think that's awesome about it and some of the things that aren't so awesome about it. Quick overview of the device itself is it comes with 64 gigs of memory for sampling. It doesn't have any SD card slots, so you can't add any memory to it. That 64 gigs is all you get. It comes with 14 banks of stock sounds. They're great. I love them. I don't want to get rid of any of mine, but if you decide to get rid of them, you'll end up with 80 banks of 16 pads for sampling. And sampling lengths can go as long as to 15 minutes, which is pretty awesome. The SXC-1 does not have a song mode. It does have an awesome sequencer in there that gives you a 64 pattern sequence. You can sample from the microphone that's on it. You can sample from a line in that's on the back, and you can sample from a USB port as well. So it's very easy to sample from and very easy to delete your samples from, which is an awesome feature on it for sure. Outside of the Pocket Operator by Teenage Engineering, this is the cheapest sampler in the market if you can get it at its retail price at $250. Good luck though. Though this year Stylo phone is supposedly releasing a sampler that is going to be $50 and probably going to be a little smaller than this. Don't think it has a screen, so it's not going to be quite the same as this kind of one, but keep your eye out for that. Okay, so some of the pros about this thing. It's small, as you can see. Compared to my phone, it's not very big, and compared to a cassette, you can see it's not very big. That's one of the cool things about it, because it makes it very easy to hold in your hand, somewhere between the original Game Boy size and a Game Boy Pocket. Without a doubt, the SXC-1 is extremely portable. You can throw some batteries into this thing and play it anywhere. I love sitting on my couch or laying in bed, being able to play a beat. Compared to the other samplers I have, none of them kind of feel as nice in your hands. Also, this thing can fit into your pocket. It does come with a speaker on the back, though it is very quiet, and I suggest using headphones while, making stuff on this thing. Same with the sequencer. The sequencer is really cool on this thing. It is limited. I want a song mode on it, or just something to let me switch between the banks of patterns I've made. It doesn't really let you do that, which is kind of a bummer. But using it, it's awesome. Navigating the sequencer with the D-pad is great. You move super quick. You get through the whole thing without a hitch. The A and the B for being able to place your sample or delete your sample is awesome. It makes you get through it really quick. Feels like almost fun to, sequence on this thing compared to any other samplers. I don't have as much fun ever sequencing on. This thing is Fun. The pads feel amazing. They're some of the best pads on any of the samplers I have. I have a P6 and the KO, and those pads are nowhere near as good as the pads on this thing. I think one of its best features too is for chopping or trimming your samples. The wheels for the effects knobs are what you use for that. When you go into the sample you want to edit, you're able just to kind of squirrel with the wheel, and that beats the knobs that I've ever used for doing chopping. Or if you ever have to use a P6, oh boy. But the knobs or the wheels for this are great for trimming and chopping. So like I said, I like the sequencer. It does have its faults though. The C and D buttons on this don't really have a function. They only allow you to change banks. Outside of that, they really don't do anything. It's kind of odd. Being stuck to a 164 pattern sequence is very limiting. Like I said before, it's not easy to switch between the two, like another bank of patterns. I honestly don't think you can, but if I'm wrong, please tell me and, leave it in the comments. The SXC does not have a chromatic scale on it, so you can't change the pitches of your samples freely. You can go into the edit mode and change it up and down, but once you have that pitch set, that's it for when you have the playback. It also has no motion control, which I always find is a must for most samplers. Another issue with it is that you cannot set a pattern playing and then switch the sound bank to another sound bank, so you kind of get jam on top of the pattern that you have with a different set of sounds, which is also limited. So, once you set your kind of pattern for whatever it is, you have to leave a bunch of pads open for yourself to be able to play along with. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed. I think my biggest issue with the SXC is its effects. You have two banks. You have one on the left and you have one on the right. You use these wheels to choose the effect that you want to use. The ones on the right, you have a filter, you have a flanger, a phaser, and a bit cruster. And then on the right, you have rolls, a couple rolls, and then a delay. So it's very limited when it comes to the effects, and the way that you use the effects is using these wheels to just kind of add more or take away from the effect. Very limited, and compared to all the other samplers on the market, very, very lacking. Don't get me wrong, even with the problems that this device has, I still think it's a great sampler, especially if you want to get into sampling and want to buy your first sampler. This is a great first sampler compared to some of the ones that I bought originally. It works very simply, it's fun to play with, and it's nice to look at. I'm going to be doing a comparison video with this compared to a P6 and a KO. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that my MPC sample gets here, and then I can add that into there so I can kind of compare all the new modern samplers out to each other. Give you guys a good gauge of what the difference between them are, and kind of what you're looking for and what you might want to buy or not buy. So keep your eye out for that. Like and follow for more, and thank you very much, guys.